Change of song must mean that Rhiebelle's ready now, right? Must mean. I am. Rest assured, I'm here. I'm ready. I'm prepared. I'm going to unpin this message. Unpin. There we go. Ready, friends? I'm sure you are, because I'm a little bit behind schedule. Let's get the stream started. Boop. Hey, everyone. How we doing? My throat's still a little bit funny, but don't worry, I've got peppermint.
Look at the size of that thing!
It's huge, isn't it? It's huge, Lono. Hey, Lono. Hey, friend. Thank you for the sound alert. Ah, the size of that thing, I know. Hold on. Hold on. It's been like 2 weeks. It has been over 2 weeks of this cough. It needs to stop. Well, it's not been the cough the whole time. The cough has been around for about 5 days-ish. But it needs to stop. I'm so bored of it. Hello to Android Mac, who is looking at his watch at 1:05. Like, we haven't even started the stream starting soon screen. What's going on here? I haven't even got a decent excuse today. I think Crimson's got it sus though. The whole making sure Morag's locked in the shed. She was being particularly feisty today. I had to fight her back into that shed. Millie! Thank you very much to Millie for 8 months subscribed. Hope you feel better soon. Thank you very much, Millie. Thank you. Happy 8 months to you as well. And thank you to M for gifting a sub to Jess Woke Up. 20 gift subs to the channel now, M. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Jess Woke Up is now subscribed for a month and has advert-free viewing and all of the good things that come alongside, all of the emotes and stuff. And we got a freaking hype train on a Sunday. Hello? What? Thank you very much to Magdalena Moonstone for 34 months at tier 2. Thank you, Magdalena Moonstone. Good to see you. Freaking Sunday hype train. Excuse me. Excuse. Hello to Dylan. Good to see you, Dylan. Morbert's here as well. Wakes up to Rhiebelle. Today's going to be a good day. Let's go, Morbert. Today is going to be a good day. We're going to vibe together for the next few hours. See where our brain rabbit holes take us and just put the world to rights as we normally do. All together now on a Sunday. Tiny Meows redeemed a tartar treat. We'll do that very shortly, Tiny Meows. Hello to you. First treat indeed. We'll do that very, very shortly. Once I've said hi to everyone. Hello to you, Jess Woke Up. As I say, congratulations on receiving that gift sub there from the wonderful Immortal. What's this? Dylan's also gifted a sub. Dylan, thank you very much for gifting us up to the might of Crimson. Crimson's now subscribed for another month as well. Thank you so much to you, Dylan. Thank you indeed. Super kind to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Devlin Danger's in here with the loves. Hello to you, Devlin. Good to see you. Hello to Pinky. Happy Sunday to you. Are you in your caravan today? You having a day off? What's going on, Pinky? What's the plans for today? I'll be in and out today. I've got some life things to do. No stress, Jess. You do your thing. Appreciate you being here, though. Thank you for hanging out in the stream while you're doing your life things. Happy Sunday to you, Main Captain. Good to see you, Main. How are you, friend? You had a good weekend? Hello to Rylesy as well. Lono there with the hearts. Hello, Lono. Thank you very much again for that sound alert as you came in. Rylesy, hello. Stunning, gorgeous. Thank you, Tiny Meows. Thank you. I did take a little bit longer than normal with makeup today. I shan't lie. I got up earlier from my nap alarm than usual. And I was like, I'm going to be so early today. And I just got a little bit caught up. I couldn't even tell you where the time went. I was just painting my face. And May was like, by the way, you know it's 1:45. And I was like, what? I've not even started my contour yet. Uh-oh. I'm sat Minecrafting. I never played before this week, but a new housemate got me hooked. Let's go, Rylesy. I can't really get into Minecraft myself, but I'm pleased that you found something you enjoy. Frida Sapphic will be very happy to hear as well if Frida appears today. Frida loves a bit of Minecraft. I hope you enjoy your Minecrafty goodness, building all of the structures, things, avoiding those things that blew up. I've only played a little bit of it. As I say, I couldn't really get into it. It's not my kind of game, but I'm always here to celebrate people who, you know, find their thing, get hooked on their thing. As most of you know, I'm currently hooked on Star Trek Fleet Command at the moment. Not just because I'm sponsored by it either. This hyperfixation enjoyment is going to go beyond the sponsorship, which ends today, by the way, for those of you who don't know. Anyone that is helping towards the sponsorship up here, the goal that we've achieved already is freaking wonderful. So thank you very much to everyone that has been involved in that. It's very nice of you. Thank you. The sponsorship goal that I've achieved is beyond where I thought I would get. So thank you to everyone involved. If you are still getting involved in Star Trek, there is still time. I'm sponsored until 11 p.m. tonight, which is 9.5 hours away, roughly, I think. So if anyone wants to achieve any of these goals in the next 9.5 hours, if you haven't downloaded the game, you can type !star, and that'll bring up my download link, and you can download it onto your phone to support me and join our alliance if you like. I'm having a great time with it. May and I are both having a great time with it. You've gotten super strong. Don't think I haven't noticed. Don't think I haven't noticed, that you've overtaken both me and May in power. You got a little shield around your station now. I've clocked it. I see you. I'm there like, gotta keep up with them. Gotta keep up with them. Haven't joined in a while. Hope you're well. Millie, I'm good apart from the illness. Yeah. Things are going pretty sweet. I've advanced to the next level of driver instructing training. I've got one more exam to go. I'm all booked in for my exams and tests now as well. I'm trying to bring the exam forward, but at the moment it's booked for the 4th of July. So at the very least, as long as I pass that exam first time, I'll be a qualified driving instructor by the 5th of July. Watch this space. Hopefully though, closer to the like mid to start of June, mid-June, something like that. Restream on Self-Care Sunday equals perfection. Thank you. I'm really pleased that me just coming on here and like having chats and stuff helps people with their own like self-care and like mental health, mindfulness, goodness. As you all know, it's something that I'm very, very passionate about. Thank you for everyone who got involved in that hype train. Thank you, friends. Really appreciate it. Thank you for all the gift subs, all the resubs, the sound alert from Lono. Thank you to you all. Hello, Auntie Ree. Myself and Sarah need a huge favour. Can you send us some spoons, please? We're exhausted, not feeling the day. I love your hair. It's too magnificent. Thank you. Thank you, Mark's #1 fan. I will do my best to send you some theoretical spoons through the stream. I'll just be doing my thing, and hopefully the stream can help you and Sarah gain the spoons and the mana and the energy that you need for today. Have you got stuff on today? Like, do you need to go and do things today? Or can you have a bit of a, like, rest recovery day to, like, just recuperate for the week to come? What's going on? I'm sewing today, Ree. I'm working on a gown commission, but it's not going as well as I would have liked, so I'm taking a tea break to try and curb the anxiety. That sounds like a good plan. I mean, I feel like whenever we're doing anything like that, we're always holding ourselves to this level of perfection expectation that goes beyond what other people hold us to, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, if someone commissions you, you're going to be striving to be flawless in this creation, and all the I'm gonna go air quote flaws that you notice, the person that's buying it won't even notice them. Like, they're gonna love the thing regardless. But I understand where it's coming from, Pinky. I absolutely do. And I think taking a little break and you know, just staying away from it for a little while, enjoying some tea is a good plan. I sincerely hope when you do go back to it, you can overcome the obstacles that your brain is putting in your way in regard to these I'm gonna go air quote flaws again. It's been one of these commissions that on paper should have been simple, but through a series of unfortunate inconveniences, it's ruining my sewing self-esteem a bit. No, you're a wonderful sewer, Pinky. You know you're a wonderful sewer. And I think that's the hardest part, isn't it? When in theory, you know, when you're preparing for the thing, you're like, oh, this is gonna be nice and simple. I'll get this done. This is gonna be a breeze. You know, it's gonna be beautiful. And then when it doesn't meet final draft, it does knock your confidence a bit. But please keep reminding yourself, keep reminding those brain gremlins, those subconscious brain gremlins that are sneaking in, that you are wonderful at what you do. And ultimately, you are human. Not everything's going to go perfectly. And it's gonna be like a bit of a learning curve, I guess, at the very least. But as I say, you're definitely going to be harder on yourself than anyone else would be about what you're creating. Loving the high-rise hairdo. Thank you, Morbert. Thank you. This is my beehive hair. It's got little bows in the back as well down here, which are very pretty. It's kind of hard to show on stream though. Don't know if you can see them. I do love this hair. It's very pretty. I don't wear it nearly enough. I'm planning on curling the fringe, because as you can see, the fringe is a little bit in my face. So I want to... Am I going the wrong way there? Yeah, I'm going the wrong way. I want to... I've got a curling brush now, and I want to give it a bit of a tidy up in the fringe. I was going to trim it, but I feel like if I trim it, it's probably going to come out bowl cutty, and I don't want that because I'm not very good with hair, especially not cutting it. So I'm going to try curling it, see if I can make this fringe a little bit more shaped to my face. We'll see. We'll see how it comes out, but I wanted to wear it today because I haven't worn it in a while. So I'm wearing it. I've flicked it over. I'm just hoping for the best, really. Hi everyone, how are you? Hi Marcus, good to see you, friend. I'm good, thank you. How are you doing? Hope you've had a good weekend. I've got my peppermint tea here to try and recover from my brief illness. 2 weeks worth of illness that I've been going through. I haven't been ill in ages. And now it's come around. It's like, oh, why? I don't want it. Do we ever want to get ill though? Completely out of our control. Hello, Screams Jess. Oh my god, who gave me a sub? It was M. M gifted you a sub, Jess. Immortal was kind enough to throw a sub your way. My original plan was to grind the game as quickly as possible, so Rhi got the most from the sponsorship. And yeah, I'm well and truly fixated with the game. Welcome to the club, M. This is how they get us. Sponsor a streamer, get the streamer's community involved, get the streamer involved, and yeah, now we're hooked. I'm having a great time with it. As I said, I have no intention of stopping after the sponsorship's over today. As long as we don't get utterly destroyed in PvP anytime soon, like a huge alliance doesn't start taking us over, I'll be going on for a while, I think. I'm having a good time. I'm excited to unlock my next ship and everything. Na, 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 na. Throw spoons. Wait, that's what you meant. Throws ice cream on spoon. Yes. Ice cream spoons for AJ and Sarah there. Looking beautiful today. Thank you, Grand Zenorak. Thank you, friend. Hello to you, Keldon. Good to see you. I've noticed that you've been leveling up in Star Trek Fleet Command as well. Thank you so much, Keldon, for that. I appreciate it. We're really worn out. Kids have been up since early doors, and their behavior hasn't been the best. We need to clean their rooms a bit. It's a bit of a health hazard. Got you. I understand. Sad to hear it, friend. It sounds like you're gonna have a bit of a rough day today, but I sincerely hope that while you're going through the motions of the cleanup and while you're, doing what you gotta do over the course of the day, that you can make time just to sit down, have a cup of tea, just as Pinky's doing right now, and just assess, recuperate, and just collect yourself throughout the process. Make sure you're drinking water as well. Hydration do be important. Yeah, like, honestly, you're right. It's because it's for someone else is a bigger issue, whereas if it's for me, I can't afford to make mess ups and take it at my own pace. But deadlines end of the week, got you. Okay, yeah, so time is of the essence here. I understand, Pinky. You got this. I've got full faith in you. The gown you made me is freaking stunning. By the way, I'm also planning on wearing that on the stage at TwitchCon, just so you're aware. For those of you who don't know, I'm performing at TwitchCon Paris. That was very Scottish. Paris in July 8th and 9th. And Pinky Don't Mosh in the chat. I commissioned a gown from Pinky. Fancy reveal gown for those of you who haven't seen it. And I'll be wearing that on the stage at TwitchCon Paris for at least, I don't know how many performances I've got. I think I've got 2 numbers, but they might be one after the other. So I'll probably be wearing it for the full performance. But I'll do the song that gown was made for first off. Naturally. Beehive, that's the word. Still waking up. All good, Morbert. All good. It is indeed the beehive. You wake up at whatever pace you need to wake up at. I'll know what you're getting at. I'll understand. Hello to you, Katha. Good to see you. Katha's also in Star Trek Fleet Command. I've seen you in there, Katha. Leveling up as well. I appreciate it, friend. Thank you, mods, for dealing with that suggestion. No, that won't be a thing. Miss Hawaii, good day, loving the hair. Thank you very much, Miss Hawaii. Thank you. Isn't she beautiful? Isn't she beautiful? It's by Kerry Creations. It's a UK wig designer based in Birmingham. Kerry Creations posts on some like Facebook groups and puts all their wigs on eBay. And it was back in January, I think it was. I saw this wig on eBay. I was still working at the university at the time, and this was on eBay. It had a couple of bids on it, and I just sniped it in the last few seconds. I was like, that wig is very me. I need it. So I got it. I was that really annoying person on eBay who grabbed it in the last second on the bid. Ice cream makes everything better. Sarah gets it. Make sure you got some ice cream today, Sarah. Have you got? Is there ice cream in the freezer? Can you like give yourself some ice cream over the course of the day to keep yourself going? Hi, Authentic Kata. Good to see you, Kata. How's it going, friend? Millie saying, I may have good news. After the last 2 weeks of work going over the line with disrespect, after I come off of a holiday, I'm handing in my notice. Let's go, Millie. Recognize that worth, friend. That job, from everything you told me over the last few months, has been taking advantage of you time and time again. And I recognize that, like, you know, the place you're in life versus education and everything, finding work that is going to suit your work-life balance, I guess, is challenging, but I do definitely think there's places out there that are going to appreciate you a heck of a lot more than the place you're currently working at. I sincerely hope you can find that place soon, but I think handing in that notice is going to be really, really good for you in the long run. It might be difficult short term as you're trying to figure stuff out. It's a bit of extra stress. Leaving a job and finding a new job is always difficult, but I really do think that, you know, medium long term, leaving this place sooner rather than later will be freaking stunning for you. I will support you in any way I can by cheering you on streams and stuff, and I can help with CVs and stuff as well. If you do want help with that, I'm not like the best with CVs. Like I can't produce something that's like, you know, someone who charges like £200 to get their CVs made and everything. I can't do anything like that, but I can give it a look over and I can like suggest, alter, that sort of thing. I put together an alright CV. Orchestra and very Amy Winehouse today. Nice look, thank you. Isn't she just? Isn't she just a bit Amy Winehouse? Ooh, I do love this. I do love this look. It's like gothic Amy Winehouse. I need to make it to our store today, says Morbert. Through a series of unfortunate events, I have somehow ruined every pair of pants I brought with me to Maryland. Oh no, so now you gotta go pant shopping today? The effort. Do you live near a store? Like, can it be like a short trip to dash out, grab a thing, come back? Or has it gotta be like a bit of a dedicated trip out? May's going to go through the Sunday routine of emptying a dishwasher but leaving all the clean things on the counter for you to put away. We got a little system going. May doesn't like putting things away from the dishwasher. I don't like getting things out of the dishwasher. So we got some teamwork on the go. May takes things outside the dishwasher, puts them on the counter on top. I then come downstairs after stream and I start systematically putting them all away. In the meantime, May's also loaded the dishwasher for the next one. It's a great little system. We never discussed it. It just happened. Rhiebelle, mayonnaise, whoever, get footage, please. There shall be footage. There will absolutely be footage, Pinky. Don't you fret about that. And yes, the twirl will have force in it. That dress is going to drop this time around. I'm going to grab the Turtle because there's 2 treat requests for the Turtle now. Hey, Bowser, Big Bean Burritos. Hey, friend. Turtle. Turner. Come get treats. Treats for Turner. Who's in my dear state? Morbert was in your dear state. Lono. Lono is a Marylander. I say it wrong, apparently. How's it pronounced?
Much excited.
Maryland. Thank you very much, Pinky, for the biddies with the much excited. I'm excited as well. It's going to be a huge crowd at TwitchCon Paris. I think last year it was like 60k, something like that. Unreal. Like, that includes people watching online as well. By the way, you can also watch it online. Probably an important thing to know. TwitchCon streamed. Come on, Tucker. Help you come. It'll be streamed by the Twitch page, I believe. Oh, here we go, the Turtle. Hello. Hello, puppy. How's it going? You good? Hey, Jabba Pizza Hut. Hey, Jabba. How you doing, friend? Jabba Pizza Hut. Got it. I've just connected it. Hey, Jabba. Welcome in, friend. You've come in just in time to meet my pupper. You ready for some treats? Yeah, you are. Okay. Okay, I got you. Here you go. 1 treat from Tiny Meows. Always are good. He's almost as grunty as I am. This illness that I've got. 1 treat down. Very tasty. No, a treat from Dylan as well. Dylan sending you some love too, Tartar. Here you go. Num 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 num. Num num num. I forgot to mention as well, Dylan, you've gifted 149 gift subs to the channel. That's a lot of gift subs, friend. Many gift subs. Oh, thank you very much for all of those, Dylan. Massively appreciate you. And being a mod for me as well. You legend. In 6 weeks, I've either blown out the bottom of the crotch or like 6 pairs of pants. That's impressive, Morbert. Really impressive. Like, how? I don't know if I want to know, but also how? Like, are we talking genes here? Or like what kind of pants we talking? Yeah, so apparently it's pronounced Maryland. Maryland. I'm here pronouncing the whole thing. Maryland, but apparently it's Maryland. If you're gonna Scottish accent the Paris, you might as well drop the S and make it French. Paris. Oh yeah. Oh, good point. Oh yeah. Saying it in a French accent, just dropping the S. Paris. Oh. Silly question, but given it's TwitchCon, I already answered it. I've just got to your question and coincidentally already answered it. Yeah, TwitchCon will be streaming some parts, not all of it. Like obviously there's a lot going on around the place, but I do believe I do have a memory of last year they did stream the stuff that was going on the stage. So there's a very good chance that they will stream the drag showcase, which will be on the stage and will be broadcasted more than likely on Twitch's Twitch page. Something to keep an eye out for those of you who can't make it. Can the omnometone fit inside the hair? I wouldn't want to try. Like, I wouldn't want to like damage the hair. You know what I mean? It's all of this. You can kind of tell at the top if I scooch down. It's literally just sprayed up together. So I wouldn't want to shove anything in it because it will just like split, and I don't want to do that. I don't have enough hairspray currently to repair it, so I'm not going to risk shoving the omnometone inside. But in theory, yes. Yes, it could. That's the height of my hair. I don't know if that helps at all. Omnometone for scale. I've got a busy day ahead, says Jess. I'm going to dye and cut my hair, and I need to start writing an essay that's due in 4 days. This sounds like peak ADHD, Jess. What? I've got all this time to do this thing? No, that's not good. That's not going to happen ahead of time. It's going to be last minute. It is going to be rushed, but it is going to be great. The hyperfixation that you're going to give to that is going to be unreal, and you're going to smash that essay after your hair is done. I have full faith in you. I'm in exactly the same position with preparing for a gig on Wednesday. I'm performing a stag do, hen do, sten do, they're calling it. It's 2 women. And I have got to print off their names onto a bunch of pieces of paper for one of the games that we're playing. And I've had a good like 2 months to do all this. Have I done it yet? Absolutely not. I will do it either tomorrow or Tuesday. And I'm going to smash it on Wednesday. I'm very excited. I'm going to a cute little like rented property in Somerset, which has got a pool in the back. It's all very fancy. And I'm putting on a bit of a couple of hours worth of show for the Stens. Getting them involved in some games, probably some lip sync competitions. I'll do some performances. Should be a lot of fun. Hopefully my voice is going to be back normal by then. Hey Lucinda, you like my earrings? Thank you friend. What toy is it? It's an omnometone. Well, it's actually an omnitone. It plays. It's a musical instrument, is what it is. I'm not very good at it. I just use it for my subs, really, more than anything else. Do you play Star Trek? I do. So I'm actually sponsored by Star Trek Fleet Command this week, which is why it's up here. If anyone wants to download it, it's > star in the chat. Please download it using my link. It will directly support me. And yeah, we're on there. We're on server 106. We've got an alliance called the Rebellion. It's a phone game. It's you know, the kind of phone game that like it takes time to build things, and the higher level you go, the more time it takes to build them. But it's very addictive. It's got me hooked. I'm really enjoying it. It's a nice little phone game that May and I, my nesting partner, we've got this habit now of lying on our beds through the day if we've not got anything else on. Playing Star Trek Fleet Command, watching Star Trek Next Generation on TV. It's become a very comfy setup. Very fun way to pass the time off. Very relaxing. Wait, no, remember the tiny turtle wig? Yes. What if you gave your wig a tiny wig? Oh, so wait, one of these in Turner size. I haven't actually got photos of Turner in that wig yet. I need to do that. I need to get photos of Turner in that wig and that little dress as well. I should probably do that soon. Get him all done up and have a little photo shoot with him. He's gonna look adorable in it. Amy Riehouse. I woke up from a nap craving cookie dough ice cream yesterday. Went to a local vegan dessert place and they just happened to have it in. Yes, it was fated. Riles, yeah, that sounds freaking wonderful. Cookie dough and cinnamon ice cream, amazing. I'm pleased you enjoyed. It tasted just like cinnamon grahams. Sounds terrible to me, frankly, but I'm pleased you enjoyed it. I love how easily accessible like vegan food options are now. Like vegan chocolate, vegan ice cream, like, you know, like plant-based meats. There's so many ways now that you can eat, like, ethically, like so much more than you could even like five years ago. And in most cases, you cannot tell. Like the vegan chocolate I had to hand out as a sample at a job last week. Genuinely, the consistency wasn't quite there, but the taste and it still melted in your mouth and everything. It was really impressive. Like, I would buy that daily as chocolate. Well, daily? Yeah, daily. Daily as chocolate. I eat a lot of chocolate. Local places, loads of wild flavors. One of my favorites is popcorn flavor and apple pie. Oof. Yes. 20-minute ride, just the people in. Oh, I get that, Morbert. I get that. We had to go into town yesterday, and we went and got some jeans for May. Went to Primark. Really don't like shopping in Primark, but budget dictates. And yeah, it's pretty horrendous, isn't it? Especially in stores like Primark, where, let's face it, the staff are massively treated badly. The staff are just not appreciated, so none of the staff are happy. The customers are generally quite chaotic in stores like that, and it's just not a fun environment to be in. Hold your nose when you go in, more, but just breathe in, hold your nose, release your nose, got it, let's go. Do the thing, straight to the pants, grab the pants, these will fit, buy the things, get out. In, out, safe. More to waving to Lono from Colombia. I'm a little bit behind chat, by my friends. I will catch up eventually. Maybe. So worth it, my queen. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you. I appreciate that beyond words. I do. Because a lot of the time, this is gonna sound bad, right? Bad? I don't know. But I get a lot of self-doubt a lot of the time. I go through so much, like, if I dip into a harder headspace, the first thing that goes is my worth in regard to content, streaming, drag, performing in general. There's still a part of my brain that genuinely believes that all of you support me out of pity. Which I know is ridiculous, because there are way too many people to support out of pity. Like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But a lot of the time, your subconscious brain doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to be rational. The subconscious brain just pops up with these messages, and you're just there like, okay, that's a thought process now. And like, in harder headspace times, that's more difficult to manage. That feels louder. And rationalizing it is so much more energy. Gemsy Giraffe. Hello, Gemsy Giraffe. Hello, friend. Orchestran doesn't want to know how Morbert has been blowing out those trouser crotches. Morbert says, I don't know. Jeans, khakis, slacks, literally just weird. Like, oh, let me just step over this puddle of water. Rip. No, that is not the dream. Like, that's nightmare fuel right there for a lot of people. To have, like, the seam in your pants, especially up the crotch, rip. And it's happened to you numerous times recently. Yikes. I'm sure that's, like, difficult to deal with. Like, on a mental basis. But it's also hilarious. Like, as much as I'm laughing right now, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the ridiculousness of the situation. It's ludicrous, and it's something that I think most people have faced in their life, of like a really unfortunate rip in some clothing, generally around the crotch or the butt of the pants they're wearing. Maryland is the fancier posh way of saying it. Maryland is the usual way. Merlin is the urban pronunciation. Maryland is the urban pronunciation. Merlin is the old rural way. I did not know any of these things. How do you have so many ways to pronounce a thing that are all correct? Ollie the Whippet sends Turner snuggles and hugs and boop snoots. Do you hear that, Turner? You're getting hugs and snuggles and boop snoots from Ollie the Whippet. He would be like wagging his tail at that, but wouldn't really be like actively giving them back. He'd probably go and pee on something. He'd be wagging his tail, like staring up at Ollie, wagging his tail, and then he wouldn't really know what to do. He'd probably try and eat some mud or some grass, and then he'd pee on something nearby. And he'd be like, I've socialized. I've done this so well. Finished my Coupon tea. It's now time for me to pull up my big girl socks and go back to working on this gown. I'll still be here, just less chatty. No stress, Pinky. All the best to you. Hope it goes wonderfully. I'm sending you all the good vibes right now for that gown to come together. I believe in you. Rhee's hair is 1 musical instrument tall. It's an official unit of measurement. I'm not a big guy, and these are tight pants, and these aren't tight pants. I don't understand it either, Morbert. I think it's impressive, honestly. I think that's something to be applauded. Oh my gosh, you look fabulous. Hi, Rhee in chat. Thank you, Moogly Sue. Thank you, friend. I'm feeling pretty fabulous today, honestly. I really like how this has all come together. I accidentally spent a little bit too long on makeup, which meant the stream started late, and I'm now a little bit behind in chat. What else is new? But I really do like how it's all come together today. Thank you very much, Moogly Sue. Good to see it. And thank you, Moogly Sue, for also getting to level 10 on Star Trek Fleet Command recently. I've seen you leveling up. I think you're at 10 now. I saw you at 9 a little while ago, and I had like 3 people get to 10 in the last like hour or so, which I massively appreciate. Thank you, everyone. Sounds like me, says Orchestran. I have a month to write an essay, and I would leave it until the weekend before it was due to be handed in. Literally. And I think that... obviously, like, I'm not going to start diagnosing everyone with ADHD or anything like that, but speaking from my own personal perspective, like, the ADHD element, it's recognizing that getting it done early would be beneficial. Like, if I get this thing done now, I won't have to worry about it, and I can literally just relax. Like, I can put that on the back burner, hand it in the due date, it's done. But it's a physical incapability. It's not not wanting to do it. It's recognizing that you do want to do it, but you just cannot, and it's so surreal. And I've said this a couple of times before, that I don't think people who don't have ADHD will ever understand. Like, I understand the frustration from people who don't have ADHD, who need someone who has ADHD to do a thing, seeing that they have time to do this thing and them not doing it because it's not like, you know, it's not due yet. It's not like a thing that needs to be done right here, right now. And there's just so many other things that can distract, or just this sheer weightedness when you're like locked in place, like doing something else. Like, you know, you're watching TV and you're like, right, one more episode's ends, and you just cannot get up. You want to get up, you recognize that getting up is beneficial, but it's just not happening. It's almost like a paralysis, but it's a mental paralysis. It's so weird, so weird. Kennesaw gets it. Yeah, but just do it. I let you can't. You get it. And this is something that's like plagued me through life, like all the way through school, you know, like growing up with my parents and everything like that. Just get it done. And it's like, yeah, I hear you. I get it. And obviously I didn't have this cognitive ability when I was younger. I didn't have this rational reasoning about it when I was younger. It just was. But now that I'm older and I've learned more about it, I've analyzed more about it, and I understand myself a bit more. It's like, okay, this is how I operate. This is how I'm going to work. Sometimes it means that, you know, I'm a little bit late for things. Sometimes it means that, you know, I'm rushed at the last minute to throw something together. But I think one of the pros of ADHD, because I do think that, like, many forms of neurodivergency, not neurodivergence, that's the one. Many forms of neurodivergence, they do have pros to them. They obviously have their holdbacks, they've got their obstacles, it's challenging, especially in the society that we live in, but there are pros to them. Like, as I say, I know that at the last minute, I'll be able to bang something out, and it is going to be a pretty good standard. If I hyperfixate on it at that last minute, and I'm just like, do the thing, whether it's learning a song, or writing an essay, or filling out an application, or whatever, it will generally go well. I'm just going to make vegan blondies. Magdalene and Moonstone, if you want to send any down to me, that'd be great. When I say me, I mean me and May. May and I would love to sample some of these vegan blondies. No pressure. Obviously, I don't know how well they're going to travel or anything like that. But if you do, any chance that vegan blonde has a single sister? I like that. Blessed. Primark staff. I put extra effort into my nice stuff. Yeah, same. I was having like a cute little chat with a person until yesterday, and I can't help myself. If I'm interacting with someone in public, I'm always, you know, my well, not always. If depression takes over, not so much. If I'm tired, run down, stressed, whatever, I can't. But if I'm in an alright headspace and I'm interacting with someone in public, I kind of see it as not necessarily a performance, but I do want to leave that person thinking that they're pleased that they've met me that day. Like, you know, this person has made me feel a little bit better. So it's not even an effort thing I have to put in. It just happens. I just kind of like vibe with them and do my thing. And I'm just like, have a great day, you're wonderful, bye. Literally ordered some Old Bay off Amazon 2 days ago. Wait, what's Old Bay? Old Bay? Old Bay. Oh, from Lono's comment. One of my best friend and godfather of my children lived in Ireland and later Romania. I used to ship him care packages of Old Bay and Beringer cookies. So apparently we have some Old Bay coming. I've got no idea what that is, but I'm excited to see what it is and to try it. Is it tasty? It's what? Oh, a seasoning blend. Well, that's less exciting. I was hoping it was going to be in the same kind of realm as the cookies. How many wigs snatched together? That's so insane. I've got no idea, honestly, Lucinda. I commissioned this wig, so I couldn't tell you how many wigs are thrown together to make this. I commissioned it, to say, from a person called Carrie Creations. I'm not very good at making wigs or anything like that. I don't have many like DIY abilities. I can paint my face, I do my makeup and everything like that. But when it comes to like, you know, any kind of DIY around the house or making wigs or making clothes or anything like that, I just don't have. I could probably have the ability if I sat down and dedicatedly tried to learn, but I just don't have the drive to do so. And I'm kind of at peace with that. Like, you know, I recognize there's a skill there. I recognize that skill makes up part of what I do as a drag entertainer, but I can just use my income from drag and stuff to commission other people who do enjoy doing that sort of thing to you know, live their craft, like Pinky, who I commissioned to make a dress for me. All of the wig designers that I've commissioned to make wigs for me. All that sort of thing. So I feel like that's better in the grand scheme than me trying to force myself to do something that I don't enjoy. You know what I mean? Massive stage fright, it's awful, the tricks your brain plays on you. Yeah, it is, it absolutely is, Orchestran. And again, like, that's not a, you know, it's not a flaw. Like, it's not a bad thing for a human to not want to perform on stage. It's just not where you want to be. I'm the opposite, obviously. Get me on a stage and I will thrive. I love being on a stage. I love public speaking. I love performing. But it's not something that everyone does. And again, you're going to have skills, you're going to have talents, and you're going to have hobbies, interests, things that you do in your job that I can't think of anything worse than. I feel like, no, hard pass on that. Thank you very much. You enjoy, you do your thing. And I love thinking about that sort of thing in regard to the sheer diversity in the human race and all of the things that, you know, we forget how unique we are, I think, because we see all these other people doing this thing that we have a drive and a passion for. Like, I see all these other drag artists and I'm like, oof, I feel like, you know, I'm just one in a number here. Like, how am I unique against all these other people? Because I'm exposed to this environment and this form of entertainment all the time, because I follow so many on socials and everything. I go to shows, I'm friends with a bunch, and the reality is I'm still unique in what I do because of all of the other unique parts of me, like all these other parts that I forget about. You know, like the fact that I'm learning bass, the fact that I ride a motorcycle, the fact that I'm on Twitch, play games, play specific games on Twitch as well. There's so many things, so many things that are unique to us, but each one of those things will also be, air quote, taken up also by another group of people, but not all of them by the same group of people, if that makes sense. And I think that's where the uniqueness in humanity comes from, and that's what we should be celebrating. Like take Pinky, for example. Other people will be making dresses. Other people are, you know, like Moogle Sue, for instance, is also a bit of a monster with a sewing machine. I don't know if monster was the right word to use. I hope you know what I mean, Moogle Sue. But they're still both unique humans in that they make their own things with their own styles and everything else they do outside of that one thing too. That comment on unique is exactly what I needed to hear. I'm so pleased, Em. I'm so pleased. It's so easy for us to fall into this mindset of I'm not actually unique, because there's so many other people that do this one or two specific things that I'm focusing on right now. But we when we're focusing on those one or two specific things, we totally forget about everything else that makes us us. And, you know, like, we need to remind ourselves that those other people that we're comparing ourselves against right now, there's so many things that are unique to me that they don't do whatsoever. The amount of grass, oh my goodness, Turner ate so much grass yesterday. We took Turner out for a walk yesterday, May and I, and Turner out for a walk in the sun. And we came back and we bumped into the neighbour, her kids, and one of the other kids that live on the street as well. And the kids noticed that Turner was eating grass. Turner likes a little bit of a munch on some salad when he's out and about. Even when he's healthy, he'll just have a little bit of salad. And the kids were like, oh, this dog likes grass. And they started like just picking different blades of grass, different leaves, different things, and being like, does he like this one? Does he want the thicker leaves? Does he want the thinner ones? It was adorable. But Turner ate so much grass yesterday because these 3 kids just became obsessed with the fact that Turner ate grass. This was after I bumped into the other kids who went, are you Andrew Tate? Ooh, that hurt. As my neighbour said, I am the antithesis of Andrew Tate. Everything that Andrew Tate stands for, I stand against, and vice versa. It just so happens, outside of drag, Andrew Tate and I look similar-ish. We both have shaved heads. You're here. Kennesaw, thank you very much for the follow, friend. Was that what kicked you off? The fact that I said I'm the antithesis of Andrew Tate, and you were like, "Yep, this is the one. This is for me." We both look similar when I'm out of drag, because we both have a beard. We're both like dark haired, even though we both shave our hair. And I suppose we're kind of similar in facial structure too. Slightly different skin tones, but like other than that, pretty similar. And yeah, these kids being like, "Are you Andrew Tate?" But they didn't mean it. What's what I'm looking for? They didn't mean to be rude about it, I don't think. Like they were nice kids. They were bouncing a ball off the side of a house. We came around the corner and one of the kids was like, "Oh, we need to stop. There's a dog there. We don't want to hurt the doggo." I was like, "Thanks very much. Thank you." And then just as I got past them, one of them just like, it was almost quiet to the extent that I heard, "Are you Andrew K?" And I was like, "Who's Andrew K?" And May was like, "I think he said Andrew Tate." And I was like, "No." So I don't hold it against the kid, not by any stretch of the imagination, but it did kind of rock me to my core a little bit, because as I say, I do not agree with anything that I've heard come out of Andrew Tate's mouth or anything that he stands for. I recognise that what he's trying to do, he sees as a good thing. He from his lived experiences, well, that said, obviously recent news about Andrew Tate, absolutely condemn. But all the way, any kind of human trafficking, absolutely not. You cannot justify. But the messages that he's trying to preach to younger men, I understand where he's coming from. He's coming from a place of hurt. He's coming from a place of, being raised as a man in society, and is dealing with it in his own way. I just completely disagree with the way that he's dealing with it. I think it causes more harm than good. I think that he tries to push too much of a masculine rhetoric, which ultimately just causes further harm to men in the society that we're in. It goes into the realms of toxic masculinity. All masculinity is not toxic. Like there are elements of masculinity which aren't toxic. You can still be masculine and still be a good human, but there are elements of masculinity that do verge into toxicity, that do verge into the mistreatment of others, the putting yourself down, the comparing yourself to others, thinking yourself better than others, the alpha male mindset, that sort of thing. It just doesn't do anyone any good at all. Hey, Princess Ray. Hey, friend. Good to see you. I will say, I can't wait to see Rhee's reaction to the Free Company house when they do Final Fantasy XIV again on Friday. Let's just say it's got a little bit of a renovation. As it happens, Grand Zenarak, I'm planning Final Fantasy XIV for this Tuesday. I'm probably going to do makeup before stream again, probably. And we'll do a Final Fantasy XIV stream this Tuesday night. So this Tuesday, 6 PM BST, I'll do Final Fantasy XIV, if that works for you. I did hit level 10 a little while ago, was powering through a quiet spell at the market. So pleased with what I've done this weekend. I'm so happy for you, honestly, Mugglesu. You sharing that in the Discord of like you having a good day, especially on, was it the Saturday, combined with an overall good weekend at that market? Yes, like well freaking deserved. The stuff Mugglesu makes is unreal. I love it. The quality is amazing. It's really like nerdy, geeky D&D stuff. Like it's beautiful. And it's you know, your everyday kind of stuff, like purses, or maybe not every day. Well, maybe every day if you're big into D&D, like D&D die rollers and everything. Moogle Sue stuff is freaking wonderful, and I would love to see a store of Moogle Sues soon, and I know it's in the works. Things I've accomplished in less than 15 minutes. If I was capable in that time, I'd be if I was that capable all the time, I'd be a danger, literally. it's life giving me, it's life putting a little leash on me so I don't take over the entire world all at once. It's pacing me. You even stream Final Fantasy 14? I do, Kendo Sauce, I do. I've got a cute little free company. We're on Chaos server. No, Chaos Data Center. Spriggan server. I've been streaming it for about 2 years, but I took a long break from it and I've recently come back to it. Although, why don't Mama Moonstone and I swap baked goods? This is a good idea. May does a lot of baking too. Did I say hi to Princess Ray? I think I did. I did, didn't I? You're also celebrating the ADHD gang. I'm pretty sure I said hi to you as I was scrolling through. If I didn't, hi Princess Ray. Good to see you, friend. For those of you who enjoy Bloody Marys, don't sleep on the Old Bay. I enjoy a Bloody Mary, but they're too spicy. So if I'm gonna have a Bloody Mary, it's gotta be like spice out. Like none of that Tabasco in it. No, thank you. Everything else fine, but Tabasco hold. Me and my back pocket thoroughly agree. Let's go. Wait, your back pocket. In regard to back pockets tends to be in regard to money. Is that because you're spending or gaining money? This is in relation to something I said 10 minutes ago. Nope. Brain has gone. Kids, man, they have zero filter. They do. And again, I don't think it's not a negative thing for these kids. I do think Andrew Tate being exposed to kids is a negative thing. But kids having no filter, I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, yes, as they age, it's important that we as adults, especially like parents, guardians, teachers, etc., have to teach societal etiquette, not necessarily, you know, for the kids' sake per se, but more because, well, it's kind of for their sake. Society will, when they become adults, and if they don't have that kind of like filter, that emotional, mental filter of, you know, like things that come to their brain and what actually comes out, can get them in trouble. So it is important to learn these filters, but I think it's also important on the flip side of that for society to, like we as the adults in society, to evolve, learn, and adapt, especially around neurodivergent people, especially around autistic people, especially because it's a completely different functioning of the brain, and they're forced enough in society to mask all the time. They're forced enough to present in a way that doesn't feel correct for them from a very young age again. And I feel like we could really do with, as a society, recognizing that autistic people are not, you know, medically incapable of life, and, you know, are still human beings who still have, you know, the same emotions, just may feel them differently. They still have the same thought processes, but again may work slightly differently as everyone else, as neurotypical people. So I think for me it's kind of I'd like to see some compromise on both sides there, in regard to, I would love to see, you know, the teaching for kids, the filter side of stuff to prepare them for society, but also society giving more than it currently does, like cutting more slack, especially for neurodivergent people, and especially autistic people, and just being like, yeah, I mean, like, not everyone's going to operate the same way, not everyone's going to experience life in the same way, not everyone's going to think and feel in exactly the same way, and that's a thing to be celebrated. It offers opportunity for human development so much more if we just drop this idea of everyone fitting the same mold, and instead embrace like quirks, and embrace differences, and embrace weirdness, I guess, from a society standpoint. It is concerning that kids know who Andrew Tate is. It is. Tate's target demographic is children. They absolutely know who he is. They do. I mean, May works with kids. Mayonnaise in the chat is a speech and language therapist at a school, and is you know, with these kids on a daily basis. So she's aware of the kind of things that kids are exposed to on things like YouTube, TikTok, etc. And again, we've got this horrendous split in society once again, in that we've got people of our kind of mindsets who see Andrew Tate and we're like, I can't believe that kids are listening to that. That is not good. And then the people who are like, you know, Andrew Tate stans or whatever, are seeing people like Jeffrey Marsh and are inventing this idea of him being a danger, or sorry, them being a danger to kids. And it's this polarized stance of they're bad, no, they're bad, no, they're bad. And it's so hard to find middle ground with anyone at the moment, because everyone is so this or that. It's frustrating, but I utterly agree in the sense of I really don't think the messages that Andrew Tate spreads is good for young boys. I just don't. As someone who grew up in that kind of mindset because of a military father, and someone who went into the military because of a military father, it did a massive number on me, and I was only rescued by therapy. So I really hope that therapy continues to become more widely available as time goes on too. They need balanced alpha society, to be fair. I don't think, Lucinda, that we have alpha mindsets as humans. Like, we've evolved beyond it. If we were still in, you know, like jungle environments and stuff, yes, there would be the sense of survival of the fittest, alpha males leading the pack, etc, etc, etc. But in a society, it's this idea of different skills coming together to look after the entire community, as opposed to only the strongest survive. Like, I just don't think that in humanity and the evolution that we've been through and everything, I don't think there's space for the idea of alpha males or anything like that in society anymore. There's no need for it. It's this horrendous mindset